not well on about
Right.
17 different things. We were talking about, you guys just came in about,
the map. We need to update things.
we
in the master plan.
need to update this map, but she is saying, well, what happens if the guys at Blue Mountain decide to sell it?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, they're not gonna sell it.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
And she said, well, you never know, these guys might run out of money.
Yeah.
No, they don't. These guys don't run out of money.
I'm just saying.
I know.
there's No protection for the town of Croydon if they decide that they to a developer.
Then
So when we delineate it, when we make a new map, one of the things you might want to think is making sure that the district that it's already in a conservation district.
well, it says it is, but we don't know where the hell.
So
that
let's
is.
make sure that the conservation district, let's make sure the conservation district that it's in is conservation.
But can we summarily say it's in the master plan saying,
Already in a conservation district.
is it written in
Yes,
print in
it's on the map
Oregon
and
Park?
everything, yes.
Or it's here, it says it's in the conservation.
Yes.
But is there text in here that says that this?
Yes.
Oh, well, then
We can make it a little harsher.
so if it's in the conservation district, doesn't that give us more?
There are
control
still
over it?
things that are allowed in the conservation district that one of the things that I propose that is not allowed in the conservation district is a cell tower, is certain other high use, which has to be spelled out in the master plan since we're going to redelineate conservation. We have to add the Ruger property as part of conservation.
My understanding, if I'm not incorrect, is that at some point, somebody wanted to put a cell tower on top of the mountain, right? And that the Corbin Park said, nah.
Yeah. Said, yeah.
Right, but I mean, somebody wanted to do it.
There's no power there, so.
Well, they were willing to, I mean, they get a tower up on top of Croydon Peak, and they basically,
Oh, yeah, you'd have phenomenal reception
Yeah.
everywhere, but I don't think the park wanted them running power up there either.
there was power up there when it was a forest fire. Yeah, they have a telephone line. They have a telephone
That's
line.
not power.
Well, they piece of wire, right?
Right, but you can't plug anything in. It's still,
Well, if you follow the wire, you put another piece of wire that's got electricity in it, right?
it's not that simple.
No,
Well,
All right, before we start the work meeting, has everybody had a chance to look at Tom's new map?
no.
Okay,
why would that, we make some.
We said we were going to do that.
yeah, okay, so, I'm just looking at it myself.
So I take it the meeting is,
No, well, this is a continuation of the planning board meeting.
Yeah,
okay,
it's just something so I can get a hold of Clay tomorrow
okay.
and tell him if we had any issues with what he's done.
What did he do?
Originally,
Oh, that's
he
it,
had
yeah.
the subdivision and annexation and everything.
Okay,
and
so now
it's
we're just showing the annexation.
So a lot line change.
Okay.
He said he still has more to do, which I can see he does because he doesn't have the addresses on here, all of them.
Are you gonna write a note?
He already told me on the phone
Oh, okay.
yesterday or today, whatever day it was, that he still had things to put on it. He just wanted to see if everything else looked okay other than those changes.
Then why would JP Morgan be giving Tom Leslie?
Well,
property?
selling it to him.
We're selling it to him.
Yeah.
He's selling it to him so that he'll have enough land to do a future subdivision.
Yeah.
So who will have it?
That's pretty funny.
That's what it's gonna be.
All right.
So who will, Leslie will have enough. property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than everything he needs to add into it.
This one, I think I'm far enough away from that I can look at. I'm going to, at the next meeting, when Mr. Morgan's plan comes in, have the board do a vote regarding me. I'm not a direct abutter.
Right.
Close enough that I think the board should determine if I should use myself or not. No,
Yeah. And close.
but I'm just up Winter Road.
Yeah.
I'm not within 200 feet.
Yeah,
You
not
won't
being
even
a
notice
butter,
me as
the
a
addition.
butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was thinking initially, if you're not within 200 feet.
Well, I just want to make sure that there aren't any issues, so I'd rather have the board do a vote
Right.
and say, no, you're not in a butter, you're okay.
So let's-
I hate to see that marsh be chopped up. I can't say
No,
anything. He's-
No, we were talking before you guys got here and saying, you know, marshes, okay? If you go to Vermont, you get within 500 feet of marsh. It's almost a piece of federal legislation before you can do anything with it. Him is saying, oh, no, no, you're draining the goddamn swamp. Yeah?
It's not standing water.
Huh?
It's not standing water. It's not an intermittent stream, it's not a perennial stream, it's not standing water.
What is it?
Unless we have something that talks about upland wetlands, then
Do we?
Okay, so we'll open the planning board workshop meeting, not a public meeting, but a workshop meeting at 7 o'clock on the 21st, I believe it is.
Yep. Better just finish this last note. I'll make this a addition to the minutes of 9/7, right?
Okay, and the agenda today is up with a new chapter for the master plan regarding telecommunications.
And ADUs.
he wants
We're
to
gonna-
click on,
we're
we're gonna have to do one or the other.
We can't do one, okay.
We're not gonna be able to do that.
Fine, then we'll go telecommunications. Okay,
So I believe at one meeting, that was the one that I missed, that you folks might have came up with some preliminary wording for the master plan chapter.
which one?
I've been working on some, wording to insert into the land use. So in order for a master plan to work, you have to have two minimum chapters that are required: vision and land use. So we have to insert something into the vision, which shows that we want to promote the use of the infrastructure for the citizens to have broadband capability, cell use, because if we don't have cell towers, if we don't have broadband, if we don't promote that, people can't do in-home businesses. They won't be able to get out, and their kids can't use computers, and they can't go to school, as we've all found in this whole pandemic. So we need to embrace the technology, but we need to be able to do it in a way that keeps the rural look and feel that everybody wants in Croydon. So we have to add a vision paragraph, a whole chapter on promoting use without destroying the way that Croydon looks, without having one of those structures on the hill. Welcome to Croydon. You can do it by co-locating on existing structures, or camouflaging, or doing a lot of other things first, and having carriers try so many other things before the very last resort is to place a latticed guide tower way up on the top of a mountainside. And the other thing that you can do is, even if they do that, you only give them 20 or 30 feet above the tree canopy. And we can do all of that, but we have to put that chapter in the vision chapter first.
So it's almost like a zoning ordinance in the master plan?
Nope, it's a vision chapter
It's a vision chapter.
that we want to provide to the citizens of Croydon the opportunities for growth that are available through telecommunications, but preserve the rural.
Mhm.
I forget how it's already in here almost. Not much has to be changed. The
And-
opportunity.
That's currently in the master plan.
No, it's nothing's in master plan back because they had invented cell phones when we last did this.
No, it's.
That's how old it is.
The rural look is still here. It's,
This
Right.
visual.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's seriously, that's how old it is.
So I must expect and plan for some growth as part of the overall picture.
And what page is that on?
I'm looking at page 1. This is the introduction of the master plan. So we have to put in something.
Is that our master plan?
Yeah, our master plan.
Okay.
So while we need not find ourselves at the whim and mercy of hustler, if reasonable plans are made as to what is desirable and how it may be promoted. Okay, we have the historical background.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have slope, which talks about the slopes, so we can already say that you can't place a lot of these structures on the slopes and mountainsides, and we have steep slopes on the maps. So we have land use that we can deal with. It's just getting the chapter in here where it's saying we need to
All right.
keep the people growing and stay here.
So,
Hang on, I gotta find it. I'm sorry, guys.
no,
This new job is just killing me.
You guys do know all the work they've been doing is consolidated, putting in.
I'd say that, is that, yeah, well, who are they putting in it for? Grantham or for Croydon?
Are they gonna build out? Are they gonna just go down Route 10 or are they gonna
Yes.
just build out all the way?
They did a build out all the way.
No,
Are they
but
gonna go all the way up the Turnpike and Kemp Road and,
That I'm unsure.
all right. That's what I'm questioning, just down Route 10 or are they gonna go to every single house?
I'm hoping they're gonna try to go to every house.
That's what I'd like to know.
I know they're slowly working on upgrading everything because of, like you said, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's now kind of being pushed to say, now you gotta make sure you provide for all towns for children to be able to go online, like you said.
Excuse me, this is
Yes.
a working meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, but yes, they did get it.
Yeah, and there's more available. They just came out with a second grant of money, more available for that.
No,
And
but-
what chapter are you looking for now?
There's something in here which says about people, the population was growing and it's leaving. That's kind of where we want to say.
Population trends,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
that's on 4.
I don't have page numbers. I mean,
No, no page numbers on these.
Yeah. I got you. 4. There you go. Demographic factors. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got it here.
we've been hovering around 650, 700 for years now.
Yeah. Since I,
I'm not sure if it's that high. Well, if you count children.
Yeah, it keeps
Right,
talking
yeah.
that everything will increase, but there's no, the population is rising, but there's no place for people to work. So everybody has to continue to go out, go elsewhere for their jobs. But the whole thing that everybody is saying that Croydon is best known for is its rural agricultural. And that's what they want to preserve. So how can you sell your goat soap if you can't get it online?
Yeah.
You can't go online and promote the products that you make at home. You can't do it. You can't work at home. You can't go in and get a great company job in Hanover or Boston or Concord or Manchester if you can't work from home remotely. And we can't do that in Croydon. And we need to be able to allow our citizens to have that opportunity.
But if that's what this, if this coaxial, or excuse me, this fiber optic is going in, right?
That will help with in-home internet and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I know there's different feelings about this one tower that's up here,
no,
but
but I mean,
personally, like, if AT&T or someone would get on it, it would be phenomenal. I mean, we had an emergency call not too long ago, and even the ambulance couldn't send. They're able to send their monitor, the heart rate
Right.
to the hospital.
Oh.
We had no connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when you,
okay.
you come down here, there's nothing.
Yeah,
But is there a statement from Consolidated as to what their plan is for this fiber optic cable?
That would
Right.
be, Joe would know.
Joe would know. If he doesn't know, I can look into it. Emergency call.
Yeah, I mean, because if that is indeed their plan, then that's an alternative, not an alternative, but that's one of the alternatives that would be
Yeah.
hopeful for, right?
The other thing is that those towers are gonna be dinosaurs pretty soon. 5G, you don't need big towers. 5G is small little antennas that are on telephone poles and steeples of,
Well, they may build them as people's churches, but
That's why when we write our zoning ordinance, we want to make sure that we make it as strict as we possibly can to discourage everything from being really blown out of proportion. I'm going to make it as high as I can because I can.
No, well, if everybody puts up large, tall towers, that's what everybody's gonna co-locate on. And that's what everybody's gonna have up down 10, all over the road, because that's what's available. And all phones now are going to 5G technology. They're forcing it down your throat. And so everything's going to be the small little antennas. And all of those are just gonna be,
went on top of telephone poles.
Just above the treetops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard before.
Yeah.
Telephone.
Yeah, if it gets above the canopy of the trees, you're covered.
yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna do those and put them on just the telephone poles just right down the street, and everybody's just gonna connect as they go. That's what 5G is all about,
Well,
so.
then why would these guys have invested in that tower over there if they know 5G is coming by and everyone's gonna put a little antenna on telephone poles?
Well, that's a ways down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna be a couple of years down the road, but like in my case, our communications with emergency, that's not gonna go from pole to pole.
No.
There's still gonna be repeaters off the tower.
They need mountaintop capability.
Okay, so there'll be a need for something like
There'll
that.
still be a need for towers. Yeah.
Just not
The reason I
for,
say that is if these companies could somehow get rid of elevated wires, okay, because of maintenance of these things, costs a friggin' fortune. If they could find some other way to do it wireless, obviously, then that would be where they'd all want to go.
Just on a side note, so if you guys start seeing stuff go on at that tower, they're supposed to be starting pretty shortly of putting our booth there for our
Okay.
stuff, so don't get too excited, it's not fun.
yeah, no, they're putting up
Yeah.
equipment, how to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So I'm working on the language that includes communication needs for the town. It's just a little difficult. It's easier to say, yes, we need the communication. It's easier to say, but you can't build it here. And if you build it, you can only do this. It's
Right.
easier to say no than it is to say yes.
Yeah.
So the vision portion of it, which is needs to keep our people here and keep us thriving, is a little more difficult to write. Most of the RSAs already say that's, you come in, we want you to co-locate, we want you to go out and show us all the places that you couldn't co-locate. We need to see how many towers are within so many miles, and we need to notify any towns around us within 20 miles. That's all state RSAs.
Right.
It's something that should be.
Yeah. Is that tower already full? If it's not, no, you
Yep.
have another one. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And we also want to make sure we include that. And I was reading in some of the things that you sent where here's a tower, but you don't need these great big antennas sticking out from the tower. They can
Absolutely
be
not.
close right next to it, so we want to make sure that we do include something like that into it, so that it's,
Yeah, as long as the safety is taken care of, because that is a concern.
So actually, if you would put that in there, that if you do allow any other towers, that emergency services have a right of free space on that tower.
Absolutely.
We had to jump hoops a little bit to get onto this one without costing us.
Oh, any tower that comes up, town of Croydon will have free space on it.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's fine. Now, can we put in a wording to the effect to make these towers as unobtrusive as
Yeah.
possible?
Yes,
And then-
camouflage.
yeah.
So then who decides what constitutes unobtrusive? We do? Not-
We do.
not the
We do.
companies?
We do.
Yeah.
That would be a part of the ordinance. So, you know, it would, first off, we're going to make them co-locate. We're going to make them go someplace, you know, that if there's another place that they could be besides a tower. Otherwise, we have, you know, what do you want them to look like? Do you want them to look like a tree? Do you want them to look like a flagpole? Do you want them to look like whatever would blend in the most scenery?
Now, do we know whether this tower will service the flat, Croydon flat?
That one won't reach all the way down, I don't believe.
Well,
Although
it
it's high
depends.
enough, it might.
I'm only going 150 feet on it. It's 200 feet tall, that tower is.
Okay,
They're only allowing us to go to 150 feet.
why?
And that's because they want.
They want
space.
tall.
They want all the
Oh, they
top
want
space, yeah.
Okay,
So the diagram that I got from our dispatch who did a test, it covered everything for us with no problem with our radios and even our little portables. So yes, if Verizon goes on there, it should cover the flat without an issue.
oh, okay, so then basically we're saying that there's no need for any more towers in town.
Really, I was gonna say that I don't see anyone else really coming in here, but of course you want to put that in.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And you never know, someone may say, oh, hey, over here on top of Lovern Hill, we really, because that one's full.
No.
You know?
We can, all we have to do is say, show us. That's part of the
That's what we
RSA,
need to
yeah.
do, prove to us. that
Show us where
we
you
need it
sighted
there.
the tower, show
Yeah.
us that, you know, when you radio test, that you didn't find any other tower around, that you didn't have a radio signal out
Right.
there. And they have to give you those.
Yeah, they have to do that study, yeah.
And
But is that going to be part of our chapter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how thick is this chapter?
no, not in the master plan, that's gonna be the zoning
It's gonna be the
ordinance.
ordinance. And it's- that's it
Oh,
right
okay,
there.
okay, so the vision statement is the master plan.
The
Yeah.
vision statement is
And
the
the
master
actual
plan.
ordinance is,
Yes,
gotcha.
It's the zoning ordinance,
the
yeah.
vision statement in the
taking good
master
notes, very
plan.
I'm gonna start.
Yeah, currently, we're working on the master plan chapter.
Yes,
But the master plan chapter will be just vision, correct?
Yes.
And,
the land
Usage.
use, yeah.
But then part of our vision, as you stated, is we want to promote it, but not excessively. if you will.
We want to promote it, but we want to make sure that
The-
it preserves the rural character of the
So,
town.
so as unobtrusive as
Services.
possible.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So basically, that's where we leave off. And unobtrusive as possible would
Yeah.
be, I don't know, do we go into details about camouflage?
Absolutely.
that can be all
Would that
done
be
in the
part of
zoning.
it?
That's in the zoning ordinance.
That's in the zoning ordinance.
Yes.
But as far as we're concerned, in our plan, master plan will be, yes, we wish to promote this because this is where we're going.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
And then just basically leave it at that, adjacent to.
Yeah, we, in the land use already, it states that the goal is to preserve rural character of
okay.
the town. We're good with that.
Mhm.
And slopes, we're good with that. We
Okay.
just need the vision, another portion of the vision to bring in the fact that we want to promote the use of broadband, bring in the infrastructure changes.
If we want to join the 21st century.
Reluctantly.
Right, pretty much, reluctantly, but we drag,
Yeah, if we want to come from horse and buggy to,
right. Because I don't know if you guys try to use the internet when the kids wake up on Saturday morning. It ain't pretty. Okay, anyway, okay.
but then the zoning ordinance will have to
So
go.
the zoning ordinance will be all of the particulars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, and then the zoning ordinance, would the zoning ordinance basically be, well, there's the steps that you built, okay, is a new tower, is a new
Yeah.
tower.
Yeah.
needed?
Right,
And
that's
then
all
whatever-
we have to say, like she said.
Yeah.
Okay,
If it needed, it is, okay, then we need to see where you want to put it, is it on slopes and whatnot, you know, what's it gonna look like?
But basically, the ordinance would be a flow chart of
Yes.
Yeah.
first this.
Correct.
And you would write the
This,
ordinance that way.
Well, we do the
Yeah,
ordinance.
they write the
also.
ordinance that
We
we
write-
both
We
follow.
do the ordinance
Yes.
also.
Okay.
Yeah, we do the ordinance,
We read
they
it.
follow it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I would definitely suggest that we go through when we have no cell towers in the conservation district,
Correct,
no cell towers.
in the village.
In the village.
Right, and that's what I crossed out on the one that I gave everybody last meeting, is I crossed out some of the other items. Whether we want to have an overlay district, I don't see the need of an overlay district in Croydon.
Well, we're gonna have to have them by special exception,
Yeah,
which means.
it's only by special exception, yes.
What is an overlay?
What's that same question?
Yeah.
Oh, so you would take a map and then you would overlay on the original map. And say, okay, this is the overlay district and you can put a cell tower. You would just say, these are the areas you can put a cell
Okay.
tower in. So it's just like laying a layer over.
As opposed to rural, village.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, is Corbin Park a part of the conservation?
yes, all of it.
But wait, a minute, somebody's saying, no, it's private property, they can do whatever the hell they want up there. So how can we make regulations, oh, by the way, we're making you a conservation?
Because they're
You
in
can't
the
do
town
that.
and we've put them as a conservation district. So they would have to come in and they would have to
So-
ask for a special exception.
You know, all the property lines inside that park is like the mountain where the tower is now, is that in Croydon?
Where the tower is.
I would have to, yeah. Oh, where the old fire tower is, yeah, that's up on Croydon,
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
I just question.
Part of the park.
They got Plainfield corners, it's like, can they say, huh, hey,
No.
we put it in Plainfield?
That's down the mountain.
Down.
They would have to
No.
bring them with a survey.
And then they'd have to deal with Plainfield, but Plainfield ain't gonna be,
Cornish, Plainfield, Claremont.
Yeah,
and Grantham.
and that's
None
the
of
other
them.
thing that they have to do, that would be regional, so they'd have to notify all of us.
Fire tower now is not getting used, and you'll never even know the difference.
But again, then you'd have to run electricity up there,
Right.
right?
So that's the other thing I want to make sure that we put in the ordinance, that they can't use generators
Yeah.
for power.
That's what I have on
They
that
have
one.
power, but it's not generators
Yeah.
only for power.
And they can have backup batteries, but that's it. And
And I
if the
don't.
power's out
solar up
for a
there
long time,
either.
then they can bring in a generator if the power's out for a long time. Yeah,
And no solar for power.
right, just battery, yeah.
So that would be item number 7 on the list of
Yeah.
the ordinance. Okay.
Okay, so where are we on the master plan chapter then? Chapters, we need 2.
We need more than that.
Oh, we need.
We have,
Yeah.
you have to have the 2, and we have to
2 what?
name them, because we don't have a.
Step back,
vision.
please. 2 what?
2 chapters,
Okay.
And-
And what are those 2?
vision and land use.
Vision. Okay.
So we can make some changes and amend them, because we do have kind of a vision chapter.
Yeah, more or less.
And we do have a land use.
And as the handbook said, if there are amendments, they don't have to go through the town.
No,
warrant process.
Only petition,
no. All we need is a meeting of the planning board, a noticed public meeting.
Public meeting, right?
Yeah.
Master plan,
These are the amendments we propose.
that's right.
the
This-
zoning ordinance to town meeting.
This, we need to go to town meeting. This is the fee schedule.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that does,
Yes, we have to get that as a warrant item,
yeah.
which also will be covered in whatever public meeting we have, correct?
Well.
We could
notice-
combine it.
No, we don't need to have public, that's all done at town meeting.
All right, okay, because
Yeah.
the warrant is public.
Yes,
Town meeting,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
No need for a hearing.
And I sent you guys the calendar
Of a petitioned one.
Well, for all of them, it tells you when you actually have to have them all for the hearings and everything for the meeting, so you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know what the dates are, kind of working behind a clock.
And as I think we agreed in one of our other meetings, that we're not going to, master plan is not going to be, we're not going to finish that totally. We're
Oh,
going to
no,
get,
we're just doing what we need to.
we're going to
add the
get, basically,
chapters
we're
we
going to
have.
get ADUs in, we're going to get telecommunications, and what else do you think?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't need, I'm gonna do my best to get those written as much as possible, and hopefully you guys will look at what I've done, and,
Oh, and then plus the fee schedule. That's it.
yeah.
So that, and that'll be this year's.
This year's town meeting for the fee schedule.
Unless Jason had something else you're,
The only other thing I would like to start seeing is we actually give out permits that people have to post somewhere on their property if they're doing a building. An actual building permit, so we know they came and got one, or they came and got a zoning ordinance to change a garage into a living space. You know, I would love to see some paperwork that they actually have to post.
isn't that something that the select board could just say, well, this is, the select, why don't you appear before the select board and say, would you please, when you issue one of these, as part of the issuing process, it would be public?
Yeah.
Posted publicly, and then I don't think there has to be a town meeting for that.
So there is nothing on the building permit that says that you will post it.
No,
Nope,
they don't do nothing.
So now you have to amend the, okay,
Like I said, we've already had this issue where people gone by and saw someone turn a garage into a living space, and said, well, how do you know they didn't get a permit or whatnot?
well, first off, in order to turn a garage into a living space, they need to,
Change of use. Yeah.
yeah.
We're right, they still need to do all that, but it would be great if they came and say, yeah, okay, we understand.
But if they had it posted,
But have it posted while they're doing the work, so
Then-
we know that, okay.
well, everybody would
this is
know.
legit, right?
Everybody would know.
Right.
There would be no question because it's posted there
Correct.
on the property.
Yeah.
And the big thing about changing any kind of use, when you're changing anything in living space, is that you have the correct septic system for it. And that's the
Right.
big thing.
okay, now, what you're holding there,
It's
that's
a building permit.
building permit. Now, any changes to the wording of the building permit, does that have to go through the amendment
Selectmen
process?
No,
can do that.
that's the
Selectmen can
selectmen.
do that without?
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be, so you would go to the select board and say, would you please amend your building permit to include?
What I would suggest, if I would make a suggestion, is that perhaps we have a joint board, ZBA, planning, and select board. Since we have so many
Totally
new
agree with that.
members, and maybe just sit down and work on a few little tweaks. That would be my suggestion.
And we best have an agenda before we start.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Kim, you're gonna try to find some time in your schedule to draft up something for a couple of chapters to make it where the new zoning, the telecommunications ordinance would be legal in the master plan.
I'm working not only on the master plan chapters, I'm also working on the ordinance for both the ADUs and the cell tower.
Okay,
But those ordinances will have to go to legal. Okay, I'll draft them
Yeah.
up, but they have to go to the NHMA, to the lawyer to be looked at.
great.
I don't want to be responsible for somebody comes back and says, oh, there's,
No, we want to make sure we're covered in case any of the telecommunication companies comes in and says, here's a hole that I
Yeah.
found. Now I can do what I
Yeah,
want.
no,
So we
I'm-
want to make sure we're covered
Yep.
legally and that all the holes are plugged.
yep, I'm going directly by the RSAs, I'm pulling things from other cities and towns, talking with a lot of other planning board people, but I just want to make sure Croydon is covered.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so, no, okay, before we get off that point.
Yep.
So, given the calendar, right? Because Joe has told us, January 15th is drop dead in terms of the warrant. Okay.
Yeah, but we don't need
Wait, whoa.
anything to do with it.
Yeah, we do, because we have this.
Yeah, but that's there, yeah.
Okay, okay, I'm just saying, that's an item, okay. When are you, the public hearing for these amendments can be when?
Anytime,
Anytime.
anytime,
Oh, yeah, we can have a public hearing for the
anytime.
planning board for the amendments to the
Okay,
master
yeah.
plan.
So we are not under the gun then?
No,
on
not
that?
for that.
Okay.
As long as we notice it properly, so that
Yeah.
we have the 10 days, and it's got to be public in the newspaper and
2 public places.
in public places.
But isn't the telecommunications chapter something new? We're not amending, we're
No,
adding.
you can still
It's a
add
master plan.
a hearing,
It's a master plan.
yeah,
The planning board can do the master plan.
yes,
So we can add, we can make an addition
yes.
of a chapter without going before town meeting.
Yes,
Now,
You're in charge of the master plan.
okay, so when there's this public hearing, can the public say no? We want to vote, we don't like that?
They can turn down the ordinance.
or amend it at the meeting.
So the meeting is sort of like a town meeting in terms of the public
Basically.
has input as to what they're going to do.
Yes.
They can vote some items up and down.
Yes,
If we have a public meeting and the public comes in and there's a question and answers.
Right.
And they determine that they don't like the vision section that we want to put
Right.
in for cell towers and broadband, or they want to change it, and we determine that we want to change it. If we determine that based on public opinion and public input, we're going to change what we have, then we have to have another public hearing. We have to change it and then bring it back and have another public hearing. If we determine and the citizens determine that everything's okay, we vote to add it to the master plan that night. And then we take it to the town clerk, and the town clerk sends it to the registry and records it.
yes,
And our plans for amending items are presented to the public before the public meeting, correct?
Yeah,
they're posted,
They're posted, right?
Yeah.
And there's how many days is that, 2 weeks or
10 days.
10 days? Okay.
10 days and
So somewhere be available for the public to see these before town meeting. or
you have to add a
the hearing,
summary,
the hearing.
some kind of a summary. I'll pull out the whole language, but summary.
Well, no, just
in-
put out whatever the,
When we
languages.
post the meeting, there has to be a summary in posting.
oh, okay.
And then all of it has to be available for viewing.
So, okay, that's out of there.
When it comes to the calendar for the actual zoning ordinance, did I send that to you, Jason?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And take it out, or it's gonna be some long pages.
Can I volunteer my services to you, Kim, so we sit down someday and we start writing?
Absolutely.
Find a rainy,
I can tell you that when you go to post in the Eagle Times, make sure you start about 4 days ahead of time.
okay.
3 days to get a hold of somebody.
So I think, I think we figured out where we want to go, okay?
Yeah, like those-
And I think, no, I think, no, seriously, I think we figured out where we want to go. And now it's a matter of coming up with the right verbiage.
Right, correct.
And
We'll
then
send it
have
out.
that verbiage checked,
Yes.
and then go forward with a public hearing.
Yeah.
Would that sound about
We
right?
want to do the master plan chapters and the zoning ordinance, the same public meeting.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that we have to anticipate that there might be some changes. And so we want to make sure that we have plenty of time to have a second public hearing if necessary.
But we can make it.
But if there's no time,
to that meeting.
constraint, yeah.
If we make amendments to it, then we have to have a second public hearing. So if we all determine, including everybody, if we determine that we're going to make amendments to whatever it is we present at public hearing, we cannot adopt it. We have to stop and we have to make the amendments.
Send it to legal.
Then we have to send it to legal. We have to go through it all and we have to have a second public hearing, including all the notice requirements.
Yep.
So whatever we do, we want to make sure that we have enough time. We want to plan for 2 public hearings.
Okay, but what we're proposing really shouldn't raise that many red flags with
I don't
anybody,
think
other
so.
than telecommunications companies. They don't give a damn what they,
No, we don't care.
and they don't live here, so they really have no right.
No, the only,
Um,
I think, I think people are gonna have questions with the ADUs because they're just, you know.
Well, I mean, but that's reasonable. Okay, that's reasonable. But I mean, so, we're going to present our definition of an ADU. So somebody in the audience says, well, gee, I want to be my ADU over to be separated. Not,
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah,
Okay, so
come in and get a variance or a special exception.
That would-
If you qualify.
Yeah, if you qualify.
and qualification is hardship and safety and whatever your parameters are.
Hardship's a big one.
Okay. So basically, we would not envision any problem with that.
I don't know.
Well,
I
I'm
think
just
that's
think
the
of
only
where would the pitfalls be, do you think?
The only thing that I can see for the ADU is that people are going to want the opportunity to have a detached ADU, which I presented to the board. And I don't see that it's going to be a hardship if they meet all of the other qualifications. That's all I'm saying.
Question on that, on your ADU, so you said hardship. So a good example is, my mom's getting old, she can't live in the house by herself. Want an addition on my house and my mom can live and take care of it, even a separate building, okay? It's kind of a hardship, can't afford it.
Whoop,
That
yeah.
separate building is a detached ADU.
Yes,
So it has to
that-
be attached.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay, that's fine. So,
That's,
so your garage is attached and you turn the upstairs into an apartment. What happens after mom passes away? They don't have family members. Are they gonna be allowed to go ahead and just rent it out?
As a workforce housing.
as anything they want. So the whole thing about the ADU is, and your mom, okay, why would you put her upstairs?
Well, I just,
But we're
I
all,
wouldn't, but yeah, I'm just saying it's a hardship for them, because they need a place for their, well, once their parent passes, it's not a hardship anymore.
So here's,
No, hardship is for detached, not for regular ADU. If it's an attached ADU, hardship isn't an issue.
you're allowed to have an ADU on your property, single family property, by right since 2006.
if it's within the setback.
If it meets all of.
Right, because it's all your requirements. Even if it's, hey, I don't make a lot of money, I need to rent this out.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
the limiting item came up at the last meeting we had, which was a limit of 2 bedrooms for an ADU.
2 people.
And 2 people per bedroom.
Yeah, and the sewer must be.
The sewer has.
And the sewer, that's right.
Right.
So that means that you have to bring in plans that you have the capacity for the septic, for the additional. And if you don't have a septic or sewer plan on file, well, then you'll.
You have to do the study.
Right, you'll have to get a surveyor to survey it and make sure.
And you can't call it a site plan for the handbook.
Correct, it has to be a septic plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say that is that in the handbook, and it's an RSA, is that site plans only required for
Multifamily.
and multifamily is more than 2.
Yep.
3 or more. And mobile parks do not come under that because mobile parks.
Manufactured home parks.
Manufactured home parks are single-family residents and don't require site.
I guess something that.
But my one thing that I was bringing to everybody's attention is that we have a lot of properties in Croydon that have a house and a garage and a barn or an outbuilding. And the barn or the outbuilding might be a perfect opportunity to turn it into a detached ADU that could be something for a parent or a rental. So the person could, let's say people are getting older and they want to rent it out to one of their children. Or maybe they want to move into the smaller place because it's easier for them to take care of and they'll rent out the larger place. I just don't want to limit a detached ADU, and I think that is where we might. I'm playing
Well,
devil's advocate.
yeah, a detached may come under a special exception or a hardship.
Yeah, I don't think a hardship is the way to go. I think it might be a conditional use permit or a special exception where we limit it to certain things, because there's no reason why some of these barns and stuff couldn't be restored and used that way.
Well, wait a minute, don't we have zoning laws in terms of, what non-village and 3.5 acre zoning, correct? So now you're putting another residence on those 3.5 acres.
They're
It's all allowed in
sharing
one.
the same utilities. How are they gonna have a house over here and something way over here and share the same septic?
You're saying that's okay?
How are they gonna do it? Do you know how cost prohibitive that would be?
Okay, but I'm just saying, so you're saying, okay, the barn would make it perfect, whatever. And if they don't share all of these facilities, then they can't do it, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, or else you have to have space to put in a whole new septic, whole new water.
They don't get
but,
septic.
but but then they can't do that either, because then that would be another dwelling on
Correct.
a 3.5 acre zone. So
They have
if
to
they can't do
share.
it all with shared
Right.
facilities, then it doesn't happen.
Right, because what they're doing is they're making, in essence, a two-family household. Two-family. That's what the ADU is. It's a two-family.
What are you considering attached? I mean, how does it need to be attached? Because I had this issue in Newport. Had a garage and I had a house. I was allowed to have an in-law apartment in the garage.
Mhm.
It had to be attached to the house. So I thought that came out, attached to the building. Yep, that was accepted. Are you
Breezeway,
breezeway or anything like
Right,
that?
not just a deck.
Yep,
yeah, a roof over.
has to be a roof over and closed. So, okay. And you're also okay, back to your barn house kind of thing, if that septic is designed for 2-bedroom home, you're putting 2 more bedrooms in, is it okay that if they want to spend the money to redo that septic system so it accepts 4-bedroom home, that's fine, as long as it's back there?
They have to bring in the approved plans. They have to spend the money to make it a
Yeah.
full-bedroom septic.
Yeah, and that may have to come under a special exception.
Right.
As opposed to allow.
Yes, it's not just an allowable thing by right. I really think that,
Well,
okay,
Okay, as long as you're upgrading an existing septic
Yes.
system,
Yeah.
that's okay, but as
Yes.
soon as you build a separate septic,
not a separate.
but I mean, as soon as
then
you
you have
start
two
talking separate,
dwellings on one lot.
then you've got 2 dwellings on one lot, and that's not allowed. So the word shared,
Shared.
okay. If
Shared.
you want to
utilities.
upgrade the sharing, then that's fine.
It's all shared utilities, shared septic, shared.
Shared driveway also.
Yes, shared driveway, only one thing,
Yeah.
but it has to have enough parking for everybody. If they determine that they want to put the ADU on the upper floor, like you said, above a garage, then the stairs and the entranceway should be to the back or the side.
Or this,
Yeah, not on the front.
Not on the
Yeah.
front. You don't want to see stairs going up. How many old buildings do you go by and you see these god ugly stairs
Yeah.
right at the front of the face of the building with the snow
Well,
roof
they have to
on?
have 2
Two entrances and
entrances
exits.
anyways. Yeah,
It has to be fire code,
correct.
okay? And it has to have all of that lovely stuff.
Now, is that going to be all part of that's not part of the vision, it's part of the ordinance?
Yeah,
itself?
the RSA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We've already got something in here for two-family. The ADU meets a two-family. It's just that the state has mandated
Right.
that ADUs are allowed by right.
Right. Correct.
So unless you want to have everybody start throwing up a whatever anywhere on every single lot and just saying, well, I'm gonna plug this in here and put that over here, I'm gonna stick a pipe out and drop it in my holding tank. We either have to say, well, no, you can't do that. And who says they're gonna build it and not have carbon monoxide? What kind of heat, fire alarms? I'm just very concerned about.
Okay, now, but is that in keeping with the spirit of the workplace housing
Yep.
RSA that the
Mhm.
state,
We
Yes,
can be more strict.
Yep.
Yeah.
we can be more strict?
and that's the other thing that.
But if we get more strict, are we going, counter to the state's intent that these places be available.
We're still making them available. We're just a little bit more strict on them.
No, they're
And our
available. to
strictness
rent.
comes back to health and safety, correct? Here we go. Okay.
And as long as they're available for people to rent, these are not units that people are putting on their homes that only be available for their in-laws.
Families, right.
You can rent them out, and
Right.
then it satisfies the law for workforce housing. So when somebody comes in and says, well, I've got 20 acres and I'm gonna put up a development for workforce housing, and you have to allow it, we'd say, no, we allow workforce housing.
Yeah.
We've got all these ADUs.
And if it's built as what, 750 square feet,
Mhm.
which isn't very big.
But it's.
Oh, that's right, we're gonna limit the size of it. too.
Yep.
Are you the one who told me that the way Hanover got around this was the student dorms?
Yes,
That's their ideal workplace housing in Hanover,
they've got a school up there, so yeah, it's.
Yeah, plenty of room.
plenty of room, so. And, oh, but, yeah, but if we send the migrants to the Texas border, no, not gonna.
Okay, so,
Square feet, okay.
ADUs, do we want to stick on that before we go to the zoning units, staying on the master? No, so there's no change we have to make on the master plan for the ADUs, if the RSA covers that.
We've already got two-family housing in here, and it's
Right.
allowed in any district where there's single-family housing.
Right.
It's the same thing that we want to do. And all we have to do is, I think, just
Where's that, Ken?
modify it.
Where's that multifamily housing? In the
And
existing?
we had to change it, oh, no.
It's in the zoning ordinance, but
It's where?
the two-family housing is allowed in any district that single-family housing is
Where are you
allowed.
reading
That's
this?
in the zoning ordinance.
Where's that? Oh, it's in the zoning ordinance, not the,
Yep.
okay, not the master plan.
I think so, or,
Maybe page 4.
I don't think I have this, do I have the zoning? I don't think I have the zoning. Wait,
Forget where
here they
it
are.
is that I
Nope,
have
zoning,
them.
zoning ordinances. Now, to be adopted by the town at special meeting, August 8th, 1989.
anything with the zoning has got to be,
Okay. So where is it here? I've read, lots in more than one district when that's when the boundary line goes across. Right? Oh, this was in definitions, right? Isn't that where we were?
yeah, so here it is, after the Croydon population draft and
Yeah.
master plan,
Oh,
housing.
Oh.
Croydon is essentially a community of small, single-family dwellings situated on fairly large lots and scattered locally along Route 10, blah, 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 blah. So for all intents and purposes, there are no hotels, motels, high-rise apartments, condominiums, tenements, or other multifamily dwellings. There are no developments offering housing for the elderly or low-income persons. So this in housing is where I would insert in to satisfy the requirements of RSA, blah, 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 for the ADUs and workforce housing since 2016, make that change. And say that we would allow the ADUs
Per RSA, whatever.
in all
Okay.
districts that have single-family housing.
Yep.
And, boom.
Okay, so we need to make that change
well, it
there
would be allow ADUs as defined.
by
By
RSA.
RSA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how about our,
As defined by per RSA. Hang on a second.
Hmm.
Per RSA. Did I bring the RSAs? 674-72,
674?
colon 72, and.
And Croydon zoning
Croydon
ordinance.
zoning ordinance, which we don't have a chapter for yet.
Okay, but that's all right, but so we would put that in code.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that pretty much covered,
That would cover it.
yeah.
And then where's workforce housing? And then per RSA 674:58 and Croydon zoning, we've covered the workforce housing.
Yeah.
And that would be what? Would you even make mention of it or just,
Well, we could say that's for the low-income housing. We don't even have to, really. We
No.
would say that,
No.
you know, the ADUs would have
No.
potential. And we can even cover that in the zoning ordinance. I don't think we even have to.
okay, so in the zoning ordinance, we talk about work.
Yeah.
This is our idea of workplace.
We just have to have something in the master plan to make our zoning ordinance legal.
So we would be amending this housing thing to include.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So this is, okay, so why don't we leave it at this, that at some point Kim and I are gonna get together in the next month.
Yeah,
We're gonna
And
sit down.
work on the chapter.
We're gonna
master
pencil and
plan
paper
first.
and we're gonna bring to a meeting are the specific changes that will have to be made.
Mhm.
And we will also write up a
Yep.
list of the zoning ordinances, which will be, you guys can,
we'll highlight and
Right.
bring out the things from the master plan, the RSAs, the ordinances. And then I really, honestly, you're the chair of the ZBA. You're the chair of the planning board. Please put something together so we can all get together, select board, and just have access. Yes. I just think that would be so beneficial. I don't know when that's ever been done before.
No.
Yeah, it has been.
I know it
Yeah.
has, but
Yeah.
uh,
All right, so did everybody have a chance to look over the telecommunication that I handed out last meeting?
Yeah,
Okay, and I thought that covered a lot of our interests, but I see a couple of things that it didn't cover per some of the information you sent to us.
yep. I'm, yeah, working on quite a bit of things with that. It's mine.
Because this
Look
really,
how thick mine is.
yeah,
Mine's bigger than yours is.
oh, this one's only 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. I think that's probably enough. Yeah, you have this as
I
of
do.
last meeting.
Um,
And I crossed out some stuff.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Crossed out all the overlay district stuff, changed some of the
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
wording to Croydon, town of Croydon. I changed the tower setback from 125% into height to 150% into height from the setback. So setback, because I was voiced by a couple of property owners that they don't feel the tower is far enough from their property line. If they wanted to go up and do something in that area, you know, here's the tower and they're very,
But are they within the fall area?
Within the fall zone?
currently they would be because of where that tower was allowed to be built.
Yeah, because they probably put it, what's the typical setback, 35 feet?
30 feet?
And it should have been, but I'm not even sure if that one is. I personally have not been up to that one to inspect it, but the property owner wants me to go up there and look at it. I said, well, there's really not much I can do any further, but before antennas start going on, if we can get this zoning ordinance passed, at least we can make them a little bit less conspicuous instead of these things that stick out 15 miles.
Have you written something down as to what you want to do with what you're talking about now? So that we can, when we put this thing together, we can incorporate what you want?
Well, you have.
No, but I mean, you said you had made changes.
Yeah, I've crossed out stuff, made some
Okay, well,
changes.
okay.
No, I'm working on it too, so.
Yeah, but here is, okay, so this is, why don't I just put?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Put
it's.
that in the file, and here's mine,
By 12
but hasn't been changed. So,
zoning ordinances can make the fall zone for new towers and any substantial modifications to any extent necessary to protect the public safety, so.
Yeah, so I think we should change it to at least 150 feet. The canopies, we've already talked about how those should be limited.
Make it
They should look like-
150% of the tower height,
What?
150% of the tower height.
Yes, 150% of the tower height.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
why 150%?
Well-
Flying
Just to get
objects
it
coming
a
off.
little
One
bit
and one
further away
half
from the
of the-
border, yeah. so the neighbors aren't so conscious about something happening. Yeah. So,
The extra 50 feet or 50%.
yeah. Yeah, and they're saying
Why
that,
debris?
Don't
most of
forget
these
about
new
ice.
towers only need to be about 70 feet tall anyway.
Don't need to be that tall.
Yeah. So that's something where an applicant's going to come in and see the zoning board first, ask for a special exception for the tower. If granted, then it comes to the planning board, and then we have all kinds of stuff that we need to write them. If you grant it.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna collect all that stuff from them too, in order to grant it to them.
They can actually come in and request, and that can be part of the whole application.
Yeah.
Is come in and request a joint meeting.
Yeah.
They could do a conceptual, which is what they should do, and the application should have a checklist for everything that they have to do first. So here's the permit. I bet we don't even have an FCC permit.
Sure we
No,
don't.
we don't.
Do we know what it looks like? It must be somewhere.
No, it's under RSA 12. I mean, you're supposed to.
Oh, it wasn't under what you get, which I downloaded and sent. I didn't get to read them all. I just. RSA 12. Oh, wait, what's this?
I don't think the town is the FCC permit.
Oh, wait.
Whoever's on it, like I have one for our radio. So anybody-
Just the application for telecommunications.
But they have to show that they have one. So they don't have one, the tower doesn't have one. You do
All kinds
require
of
that
stuff.
they have somebody.
But they're not doing any radio traffic through the air.
That's
So
the
why
application.
they're not required to have one.
Right, but before they build the tower, they should have somebody who's gonna be on the tower. That's the silly thing's been sitting up there.
That I don't understand. Ever since it started, I was jumped
And
on.
there may be things that we need,
Told
after we
Verizon
get our
what's going on.
zoning ordinance done, there might be things that.
Require them to show you that they have somebody who has an FCC permit that's going to be on the tower before they build the
Yeah, I
tower.
get what you're saying.
Now, is this the stuff that I downloaded, this RSA 12K?
Yeah, the whole 12K. Everything that says 12K, I sent all the
Right,
RSA.
but I mean, that's RSA 12K? Okay. Because everything else seems to be 670 something and,
No, all 12s were the rulemaking for the personal wireless facility.
general court state of New Hampshire. Yes, okay.
And then I sent you guys the model application too,
I got it, right here.
Yeah,
This thing here?
model application.
yeah, and we may need to add something to it when we're done with our final. Yeah.
Thank you.
You need
my
the-
glasses on.
The two?
Oh, yeah. You need big, better glasses? Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bigger print.
All right.
Here we go.
That's much better.
Part of 12K says zoning ordinance may include provisions for fall zones for new towers and substantial modifications to the extent necessary to protect.
Yes.
Now, can we just make references to these rather than put the specifics down?
absolutely. We can just say per RSA.
Yeah, unless we have.
But then we don't have to get into the fact that,
No.
right, the reason we want the 150% is public safety because it's in the RSA.
Right.
All of these apply and should have applied
Okay.
to that tower.
But, well, this doesn't
Nobody
say.
knew anything about it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but this didn't say specifically what the provision was in terms of the fall zone.
we have to make the fall zone.
Yeah, we.
But don't we think the fall zone for this thing is within whatever the height of the tower or gets to the property? line?
We didn't have that in the zoning ordinance.
We don't
So
know.
they could build it right up to
Do
the,
we know or not? That's what I'm saying.
I have not personally walked up there.
So nobody knows.
So what they could do is they build it within the setbacks, which is 35 feet. That's.
But we don't know that for sure, do
We
we?
don't know that.
Okay. So you're making a presumption that we know.
Yes.
Because the sense is that Houston owns that whole piece of rock, and that piece of rock extends quite a way that way. So I think he's probably in the fall, they're
But everything that we put in the ordinance can just refer back to per RSA such and such.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that, anything that we put in the ordinance that might be more strict would be what trumps this ordinance. This is the state ordinance.
So are you gonna go up to, just for curiosity's sake, are you gonna go see?
I can walk up there with a
And then
neighbor
walk
that's
up-
concerned,
Or go to, or who was concerned, Houston or
neighbor.
neighbor, okay.
Yeah.
So, but
It
you're gonna be entering.
should be
these
posted, no
properties, you probably
trespassing.
want to mention the fact,
I can take it.
see Houston.
Oh, yeah, you can go on site. Right,
Okay,
there you go.
Oh, I can go on both their properties,
We're the
either one
first
here.
ones that done it.
Yeah.
so the neighbor knows where their property line is?
Oh, I know where her property line is.
Okay, so you
I've
just,
been up there for years.
okay, so just pay.
Is there a
I
fence?
just haven't been up there since the tower was built.
210 feet.
210, okay, so you face off 210 and see that. Okay. And it's curiosity, not that we can do anything about it, but
Yeah, we keep,
but I'd be curious if you're gonna, if you know where the hell the line is,
Yeah.
if you would do it before. Okay.
No,
Anyway, okay.
that's where it should be, but I would very much doubt it.
That one.
is there a fence around it?
No,
There
there
will-
will be in our ordinance.
Wait a minute.
Isn't there gonna be a fence around here?
I think
Building?
there is a fence around the tower.
There should be,
It's
yeah.
been a month or so since it's been there. I think there is a fence.
We wouldn't want somebody climbing that.
Well, that's the thing. It is an attractive, you know.
Actually, no, there isn't. It's just on big blocks. However, let me check with my dispatcher. I think once our building goes in there, they may have to be, it may have to be fenced in and or definitely gated also so no one can just drive.
How big is your building? Oh, very big.
It's
10 by 10, I think, 8 by 8.
Yeah, I think the biggest you can build is what, 8 by 8, something like that?
Yeah, it's a concrete.
Yeah, it can't be 10 by 10.
It's a bunker.
Yeah.
It's just enough to hold the radios and communications, but it has to be.
Do they normally put fences around those, don't they?
Yes.
Usually high voltage or something.
Yeah.
Typically, they do it because of insurance.
Yeah, right.
They don't have a fence around it. Somebody just walks up to it and its device falls down on them, or a kid climbs up it.
Yeah.
And there's no fence
Yeah,
there.
liable.
Liable.
Well, attractive nuisances laws in this state. Well, actually, it's Vermont that, believe it or not, has very nice.
No, if a kid climbs up that,
Yeah,
that's
the
not.
right attorney.
Well, now, believe it or not, for some reason, Vermont, this came up with abandoned quarries, okay? Basically, if you get into an abandoned quarry and fall in and drown, tough luck. It's an attractive nuisance, but you should know better not to. What? No, but normally, but normally you think Vermont would be very restrictive or something like this. And in terms of attractive nuisance statutes, they're not.
Yeah.
So, for some reason.
Yeah. I think something else that should be in our zoning ordinance for telecommunications is, once the tower is erected, that something must be installed and working within a certain frame of time instead of building it 2 years ahead.
That's what the
When they want to
FCC
use it.
license is for. There's
Yeah,
a
that's what she was
requirement in here in the RSA that says that you have the right to ask them for an FCC license,
Yeah.
which shows that there's.
Yeah, but that doesn't-
It
on it.
doesn't
That doesn't
say.
necessarily mean they're gonna go. But you have to see an FCC license in a time frame that it's gonna be installed.
Right,
Yeah.
that somebody's actually gonna be on the tower.
Yeah,
But who would be spending that kind of money without?
this guy.
Yeah.
No, I know, that's why
And
I'm
I'm-
blown away.
yeah. Well, he did it because, okay, Crown Castle, they have towers everywhere, all over the place. And he could come in and just put it up there, knowing that somebody was going to eventually
Yeah.
put some kind of an antenna up there.
Right, that's just what happened.
Now, you guys, the fire department doesn't have to pay anything, right, for your,
Correct, I had to,
We-
I had to get permission from Houston
Yeah.
to do that.
Why?
And I had to write a letter to the tower company asking them permission for us to go on their tower at a very cheap expense or for free. And- Because it wasn't written in there, and then that's when I found out that a lot of towns have it written right in their
Yep,
plan or whatever, that if
Of
you
local
were
fire
allowed to erect a tower, then emergency services are allowed to go onto that tower free of charge.
For that town.
that town, yeah.
So, given we had no ordinance, they could.
Right.
So why did you have to go to Houston? I thought Houston would have given up all
Well-
to whatever.
Probably didn't have.
I probably didn't have to, but I did go see him to ask him
Yeah.
if he told the tower company, you have to give, because the landowner too, say, I want my, emergency services for my town to go on
Right.
communications if needed. So-
Um,
So I have a quick question.
Sure.
We started working on the zoning ordinance, we see some changes that we feel need to happen or change a little bit. How do you want us to go about, you want me to rewrite how we feel it should be written?
The dwelling, we need to rewrite.
There's some.
Need to change the
Yeah.
definition of a dwelling.
So the whole thing is that I am so happy you guys are doing this, because I can't wait anymore. I'm at my capacity. So if you guys are rewriting things, and just, I think we should get together and have a meeting and go over everything, and then whatever you want changed, let's talk about it, let's agree on it, write them up. We are the ones that have to introduce them and have the public meeting. And I think that it would be very wonderful if the ZBA could be at the public meeting also.
Yep.
We'll give them to the public, we'll let them talk about them. Again, we have to make sure that we have that time for that too.
Okay.
But let's, whatever it is we want to change,
Okay.
because anything that's going to change in the zoning has to go to town.
Yeah, because like, right now,
We can't.
I got a page and a half of some things that we feel needs to be worded differently or.
For zoning, it doesn't have
Or
to go to
changed
town
in a
meeting.
sense.
Only petition.
No, zoning amendments have to be approved at the town meeting.
No, I
Do
don't
they?
think so.
I'm gonna look that up again.
Yeah, I want you guys to look it up.
In the handbook?
Petition.
It said only petitioned items go to
Yeah.
town meeting.
I asked Joe to get to the lawyer, because as far as I know, he presented at town
It
meeting.
was in the handbook. I don't have my handbook with me, but I noticed it and I highlighted it. That one. Is that what I got?
No, that's the handbook. You
Yeah.
find it.
It was, but it talked about what could be petitioned, or excuse me, what had to go to town meeting and what was petitioned.
Petition zoning articles always go on the warrant
Okay.
Yeah,
as they are, cannot change the writing.
Yeah.
But the zoning ordinances have to go to town meeting. You don't have to notify the public by first-class mail unless it's going to change a zoning district.
Is that in here someplace?
Yeah, it's in there someplace.
Okay, I'm not gonna find it.
But I really, I know we've had this discussion before, and that's why I wanted Joe to get to the NHMA and
see,
have.
I always thought it had a town meeting also, but then we found the RSA, it said only petition ones had to go to.
Right.
that
town
they
meeting.
have to. That's why I want a legal opinion, because if, I want to make sure that we do this correctly.
Well, then call Joe and,
My one last question, I don't want to be here all night.
And I'm not putting her down if this sounds wrong. The health officer, does she have any rights or rules of how she has to go about things? And I'm gonna give you an example that, I know of a place that she allowed some people to move into this shed, turned into a living space that has no running water, no bathroom, but it's really cute.
How is that helping?
And it was, the house is right there, so they can go right into the house, to use the bathroom, and water and stuff like this. So she allowed it. My question is, how is she allowed to do that? And shouldn't that have gone to the zoning board first to turn a non-living space into a living space?
Change of use.
Yeah,
It's change of use, but
Yeah.
there again, that to me is kind of an ADU. Maybe it's a hardship, but to me, that's not very healthy, living in a space where there's no running water.
No.
or bathroom.
no, I think,
Reconcile.
yeah, one of the, to me personally, in order to be habitable, it has to have
Running water.
Right.
and sanitary facilities.
Sanitary facility,
I
right.
mean, maybe not cooking facilities, it could be a guest cottage, no cooking facilities, but it has to have sanitary facilities.
Right. So I was told.
And that's
that.
health and safety, and you're the
Right,
health
but
and safety
the-
people, so. So you go to Jan,
Well, I
and-
am, but I'm not, well, James, the health officer.
I know, so you go to Jan and say, don't do that again.
Okay.
And for the current one, you just go to the selectman, and the selectman being the zoning administrator will handle it.
Or right, you can have the zoning board, the zoning select board go to Jan and say, don't do
You
that.
know, unfortunately, even though she allowed it, it's not acceptable.
Yeah, she may have made a mistake in
Right.
allowing it.
Right, okay.
So just address it with the selectmen. And more than likely, they'll send a letter out.
I mean, honestly, I think it was safer than what I believe these people were doing,
Okay.
but still.
Yeah, I mean, just, you can't win them all. I mean, just.
Oh, I know, but it's.
So we officially adjourned at 8:10, okay. We officially adjourned, Bill? 8:10?
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
DJ. At 8:10. Right, you and I are gonna get together, we're gonna start, right, we'll spend an hour or two writing, right?
Yeah,
Your place or mine? Your place or mine?
doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. I just gotta figure out my schedule.
Okay, mine, because mine is obviously, I'm at your beck and call because don't have a,
So I have
Okay.
other than I'm out of here in the middle of November.
hearings.
It's the only strength.
We want to try to set a date and time now for all boards to bring it up next week, or you want me to?
Yeah, we have the stuff we need to take care
Okay,
of.
so it'll be a while.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
We don't do it.
No, it's a workshop meeting, closed for public.
I don't even. No, we should, seriously, if we get examples, we should be able to knock something off.
It shouldn't take us long.
Yeah.
I've been pulling everything together.
Yeah, I know, you've got it all going in here. You want me to do some specific reading before, give your chair there. If you want me to do some specific reading before whatever, down and we do our